Good Friday morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo. I hope you're having a great Friday morning. It is Friday, February 27th. It is 8 a.m. on the button on the East Coast. Coming up this hour, moments away, House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith is with us. Don't miss that. And then at 8:20, Navalier & Associates founder Louis Navalier, my special guest. At 8:30, don't miss my special guest, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva will join me coming up. All that coming up, but first there's this. President Trump hammering his affordability push ahead of the midterm elections. We are now in the season of the midterms to deliver financial relief to the American people. The president touting a decline in mortgage rates during his State of the Union address Tuesday night. Watch.
Mortgage rates are the lowest in 4 years and falling fast, and the annual cost of a typical new mortgage is down almost $5,000 just since I took office. 1 year. And low interest rates will solve the Biden-created housing problem while at the same time protecting the values of those people who already own a house that really feel rich for the first time in their lives. We want to protect those values. We want to keep those values up. We're going to do both. And we are going to keep it that way.
Mortgage rates, in fact, down below 6% this week for the first time since September of 2022. Real estate agents and economists say this drop will likely lure more home buyers into the market ahead of the busy spring selling season. Joining me now is Missouri Congressman Jason Smith. He is the chairman of House Ways and Means Committee. Mr. Chairman, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And I know that there are a lot of positive things happening in this economy. In fact, we are waiting this morning for the Producer Price Index, which is, of course, the measure of inflation at the producer level, and yet the Democrats continue to attack the president's policies. How are you going to communicate this message going into the important midterm elections?
Maria, we just have to speak the truth. What we have to make sure that Americans understand is this affordability crisis was created by Joe Biden and the Democrats because of their $10 trillion spending spree in the first 2 years of President Joe Biden. When they controlled the White House, the House, and the Senate, inflation then went on jet fuel and rose to over 20%, making it more difficult for Americans to put food on their table, clothes on their backs, and gasoline in their cars. In just 1 year, Maria, the economic activity that President Trump has led with House Republicans, wages have grown more in the last year than all 4 years combined under President Biden. Interest rates, as what was just highlighted, is the lowest they've been now in 4 years. Under President Biden, interest rates doubled. Home prices skyrocketed. When President Biden became president, the average age for a first-time homebuyer was 32 years old. Now, the average age is 40. That is what President Trump inherited. It's because of the skyrocketing mortgage rates, skyrocketing inflation. But guess what? Inflation's the lowest level now in 5 years. Gas prices are the lowest level in 5 years. We're moving in the right direction. It's because of the leadership of President Trump.
So I'm just wondering what you can do now in terms of moving the needle on economic story and ensuring that the American people understand it. I mean, the last time we spoke, you basically said, look, there's no appetite for a reconciliation package. But since then, we had the Supreme Court rule against President Trump's emergency use tariffs. And I know that the president and the Treasury Secretary have been very effective in terms of coming up with ways to replace that lost revenue. But still, I'm wondering, is there a way that you can codify some of these policies? And do you want to do that in a reconciliation package where you can do it with just Republicans before the midterm elections?
Maria, we should absolutely codify the great executive actions of the president. We've been doing that so far. And there's actions that he has accomplished that I believe that we'll be able to get at least 6 Democrats in the United States Senate to pass it. So there's really not a need for reconciliation. There's a lot of items on tax policy, also on trade, even on health care, that I believe you could find at least 6 Democrats in the United States Senate to pass it. In the House, it doesn't matter whether we do it in reconciliation or not. It just requires a simple majority, and we can deliver on the president's priorities. We just need the help from our counterparts over on the other side in the Senate.
Now, we are expecting a fiscal year 2027 budget likely next month. The president has already talked about some of his priorities in that budget. For example, he wants $1.5 trillion spent on defense. What can you tell us about the budget? Will you deliver a budget next month for fiscal year 27?
You know, I sure hope so. We are way overdue to actually pass a budget, go through regular order. As you know, Maria, before I was chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, I was a Republican leader of the House Budget Committee, and I believe strongly that we have to get our fiscal house in order, and we have to make sure that we're appropriating funds that best reflect the values of all America. And I applaud the president for investing so much in our national security to protect Americans, because that's first and foremost the responsibility of the federal government, and that is national security and making sure that we are strong. We're the strongest country by all means, and hopefully we don't ever have to utilize all of our weapons at hand.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I was happy to see you at the State of the Union the other night. I thought the president delivered such a patriotic, optimistic speech for Americans. One thing that he said I've got to ask you about. He said that he was pledging that the revenue that he is going to replace as a result of these new authorities, like he's using 301 and 232 and perhaps 338 in terms of sectors and replacing the revenue lost, he said that eventually that will, quote, replace income tax and eliminate the deficit. Can you explain that?
You know, we would absolutely love for the income tax not to be in existence. It's only been in existence since 1913. So the less that people have to pay in taxes, the more affordability it's helpful for Americans. So if we could ever get to that point, that would be good. My fear, Maria, is, you know, people in Washington, they love to spend the hardworking Americans' tax dollars. The worst possible thing is you have the tariffs, and then you also still have high income taxes. So we have to be smart about it. We did deliver the largest tax cut in U.S. history on July 4th, but there's more that we can do. And when you look at the revenues that's coming in from the tariffs, last year we had 3 different months, Maria, that we had more revenues coming in than expenses. That was the first time in decades that you've seen that kind of action. Of course, we need that to be 12 months out of the year instead of just 3, but it's a step in the right direction.
Are you going to codify the most favored nation status drug pricing plan that the president came out with? Are you going to codify that into law?
You know, this is a big priority of President Trump, affordability of drug prices. And this is what the American people want us to address. And I believe that Congress is going to work together and find a way to make sure that we create that certainty by codifying the agreements that the president has had.
Okay, so that includes the drug pricing plan then, you think? Because he's gotten...
That's exactly right.
Yeah, okay. Look, you say you're going to work together, but look where we are, sir. U.S. Customs and Border Protection planning to divert money now in order to pay the more than 57,000 DHS employees who have not been paid. They're feeling the effects of the fact that this agency is still shut down. It is day 14. The pay is going to come from that money that you set aside for DHS in the big, beautiful bill for ICE. However, some Customs and Border Patrol employees are classified as accepted, will not receive pay until the shutdown ends. So what about that? What is it going to take to open up the Department of Homeland Security? And what do you believe has been the biggest impact of this 14-day shutdown?
Maria, it's so disappointing that the House and Senate Democrats refuse to fund the U.S. Coast Guard, the TSA, FEMA, our Secret Service. And the reason why they refuse to fund them is simply that they're fighting for illegal immigrants. As you saw in the State of the Union, which you attended, Maria, the president asked a very basic question. He said, I want you to stand if you believe the first duty is to uphold and secure U.S. citizens. The Democrats sat on their hands. They wouldn't even stand up. They have been fighting for illegal immigrants from day one. The first government shutdown of 43 days was their biggest request was demanding that illegals received health care. That was their number one request. And now they have shut down the Department of Homeland Security bill because simply they don't like the enforcement of illegal immigration here in this country. It's unacceptable. These people are out of touch with the mainstream America, and they're going to figure that out in November.
Yeah, I ran into someone the other day at the nail salon, and we got into it over the SAVE Act and talking about the Democrats' push that they will not agree to the SAVE Act. This partial shutdown is also stalling the Senate vote on the SAVE Act. Former Vice President Kamala Harris claims that the SAVE Act can't be passed for this reason. Watch this, sir.
You know what the SAVE Act would do? Require that people show a birth certificate or a passport to register to vote. Something like 40% of Americans don't have those documents. Married women, if you changed your name when you got married, it's going to be different than what's on your birth certificate, right? And so this is happening in real time to suppress and obstruct the ability of people to vote.
Okay, so we're supposed to allow illegals to vote and have a wide open situation with voting in our elections in America because you can't find your birth certificate. Mr. Chairman, your reaction to that, and also give us the specifics. You're the chairman of House Ways and Means. If somebody can't find their birth certificate, what should they do? Make a phone call? Who do they call? How do we get our birth certificate?
We can definitely help them with the federal government to get their birth certificate. It happens all the time with constituents. We can work with vital records. We'll get their birth certificate. But what this bill requires, Maria, is that you have to have a photo ID. The scare tactics that the Democrats are pushing because of the fear that we might actually make sure that we have voter integrity and that only U.S. citizens vote in U.S. elections, that is very basic. But I guess that they feel that if they can get illegals to vote in U.S. elections, they have a better shot at the ballot box. It's absolutely unreal that this is their objective, but this is what they're pushing. I have faith that Leader Thune is going to put the SAVE Act on the floor and that we'll get a vote and pass it and put it on the president's desk. It's very important.
Well, it is important, especially since 85% of the country wants people to have the proof that they are, in fact, an American citizen. And it comes as, you know, with Kamala Harris talking about all of that, she actually requires an ID to attend her rallies. And for the Democrat National Convention, you actually have to have an ID to go to those rallies. I wanted to get into the SAVE Act with Khanna, who I just had on. And I've got to tell you, he talked about policies in the Trump administration that he's against. And I talked about the fact that the macroeconomic story feels good. He disagreed. Watch this. Why you didn't say all of this when inflation was at 40-year highs under Joe Biden?
They're looking at the economy from my district in Silicon Valley and the tech leaders, where we have 1/3 of the nation's stock market. It's done very well for these many of these tech billionaires. But if you're looking at the economy for someone who is struggling to pay health care, struggling to pay their grocery bills, struggling to pay housing bills, wondering if their kids are actually going to get a good-paying job, then the economy isn't doing well, and we need to focus on the working class. Now,
so what about the fact that President Trump has done deals with all these pharmaceutical companies to get drug prices down? And what about the fact that you're looking at inflation lower, and it was up in the prior administration?
Maria, most people don't feel that. Look, manufacturing jobs are down from when President Biden was there. Wages haven't gone up at the level where people feel their wages are going up higher than their costs.
With all due respect, the Democrats are talking about affordability while at the same time raising taxes on everybody. Congressman, I mentioned the fact that they've got a wealth tax in California. He just said he wants to raise taxes on billionaires. I mean, look, you're not going to get the revenue if you just raise taxes on billionaires. We know it's going to trickle down. But what is your reaction to what Khanna just said?
I would say he needs to get his facts straight. If you just look at what you highlighted, under President Biden, the 40-year inflation, that is why the cost of goods have skyrocketed. And what what President Trump done, he's lowered inflation to the lowest level in 5 years, and that is preventing a continuous increase. What we have to do is continue to figure out ways on how to lower the cost of goods and everything. But when you look at just the jobs, under President Trump, more than 615,000 new private sector jobs have been created in his first year. But guess what? Federal workforce, the federal employment, is at the lowest level since 1966. We care and we're focused on growing the private sector, not growing government. And that is the difference between the Senate and House Democrats and the House Republicans.
You know, Congress, I got to tell you, I think you've got a communication issue. Because I understand what you're saying, and I see it every day. I'm watching the economic story every single day, and I know things are much better. But when you have the other side constantly spewing out the opposite, even if it's true or not, because that's politics, you've got a communication problem. And you've got to fix that problem before the midterms.
That's exactly right, Maria. That's why members of Congress, members of the Senate have to be out there speaking the truth. And I want to thank you for making sure that the truth gets out there for the American people. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll keep watching. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, Congressman Jason Smith, we'll be right back.